Hello, friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Hello, Levi.
Hello, Jen. Would you like to tell our listeners what time it is IRL?
Oh my god. It is officially 9:59 p.m. I should be doing my pre-bedtime yoga right now, but here we are. It's going to be a late night.
Because Jen had trivia earlier.
I enjoy trivia.
How did your trivia go, Jen?
It went well. It was just two of us as a team. We were 14 teams, and we finished third.
Did it go till 9?
It went really late. I think they were training a new person to host. So we were there 20 minutes after closing, essentially.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, the need for content marches on. So here we are.
It's just, it's a full ass week. We have to record this before Friday. And of course we have shit going on tomorrow night. So I was like, oh, what do you do?
Well, Jen, what we are doing is a return to the main scenario quest.
We back,
Jen.
We are moving the story forward. It did feel good to finally get back in the game and chug along on the MSQ. I had a hard time remembering where we were.
Good. So tell us, Jen, where were we?
Okay, so Moonbrita shows up to help out with the Orosite conundrum and the trapping of the Ascian.
Well, she brought the Orosite with her. The conundrum is the Ascians.
Correct. And how to utilize Orosite in that endeavor. And then, of course, there's Shiva doing stuff with their heretics and they're stealing stuff. And we're like, no, we don't like that. And we found an aetheryte deep down in her labyrinth underground. And we had to figure out a way to use that to get to her super arena hideaway thing so we could fight her as Shiva. And then we're like, yeah, so basically a person turned into a primal instead of summoning one. And we're like, uh-oh. We also finally figure out who the Ivy was. So yeah, Shiva stuff, Ivy stuff, Crystal Brave stuff, Moonbrita stuff.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah!
So after all those things, we once more return to the Rising Stones. In the Solar, Minfilia is stressing over the many demands for the Scion's attention. There are Ishgardian politics, primal problems, and the Ascians. And Alphino, who barges into the Solar to say, actually, the Crystal Braves are here to help.
Yeah, all those problems you got, Crystal Braves exist to, do some of that for you, so...
Minfilia goes, yeah, about that. How's it going in Ul'dah?
Well, Telegia at Telegia, he's back on his bullshit. The Immortal Flames are struggling to deal with increasing unrest. The usual.
The Immortal Flames are somewhat in disarray after their high-ranking member was unrooted as the Ivy. And with this chaos, the Monetarists are squeezing into the power and attention vacuum, seizing yet more control. So because of all this upset, Alphino needs to put his full attention towards Ul'dah. So sorry about that offer of help, Minfilia. I'm actually going to go and try and peace out and do my own thing in Ul'dah. See you later. He doesn't have time to travel between here and there, here being the Rising Stones, because apparently aetherites are a sometimes food for NPCs. He doesn't want to pay the couple hundred gil toll to teleport back and forth every once in a while. So he's going to peace out and go do full-time stuff there. And Minfilia lets us know that Urian J and Moonbrita are still trying to figure out how to kill Ascians. They are still trying to find a way to consistently form a blade of ether. Of all these issues, Minfilia asks us to help out Alphino first.
Before we leave, Alphino is due to hear a report from Riol on the Ul'dah riots.
Riol is the former Company of Heroes member.
The guy we whistled to. He's proven to be quite adept at uncovering secrets, and Alphino has put him under his direct command. So Ryul has been looking into the source of the weapons that were given to the refugees before the riots. They discovered a black marketeer had recently made a very large arms purchase. And it's clear to, well, everybody that this purchase was made with a very particular client in mind. It's not like he's just buying up weapons to resell them, as like a normal shopkeep. If we get the timing right, we could intercept the weapons and identify both the black marketeer and the client all at the same time. That seems like a great plan. So we are off to Highbridge to deal with this exchange. When we arrive, Ilberd has already staked out the location. The client should be arriving shortly, and the marketeer waits with a bunch of low-level sellswords. It's nothing they can't handle. Ilberd wonders why, actually he apologizes that Commander Levier requested our presence at all. It's like, well, powerful men ever have need of loyal, able-bodied friends, and having found one in you, 'tis only natural that he would come to rely upon you without hesitation. I mean, this is some, backhanded compliment shit. This is super passive-aggressive of him. Yeah, I don't know why you're here. This is stupid. It's easy. But okay, that's fine. Alfino, he's allowed to have friends. So the meeting is about to occur, so we need to head to the Burning Wall, which is apparently where this thing is going to take place. So Ilberd leaves, and there's another Crystal Brave with him who also salutes us before he walks away. We don't even look at the guy, and I thought that was very rude of us. He looks at us, salutes, and walks away, and we're like,
We're still trying to figure out if we got insulted just then by Ilberd's very serpentine comment.
Kinda, we're like, we just go where the people tell us to go, right? And thanks for reinforcing that suspicion, Ilberd, that we're just some kind of gopher. So anyway, we catch up to Ilberd, who's watching the marketeer and his flunkies from up on top of this little ledge. And his plan is to have us approach the sentry as a distraction while he and the first unit capture the black marketeer. And I'm like, great, awesome, cool. So Ilbert runs off to get himself into position. And my brilliant stealthy plan is to throw myself off the cliff right above the hired thug, and then scramble into a bush, and then immediately call for my chocobo with a loud whistle.
Cool.
Nailed it.
You've got flight 2 gen these days.
Yeah, I just fell.
Guess it's very efficient.
It's like, yeah, I'll just fall. That's fine.
Teacup is a cute chocobo name.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
She's very cute.
They're all cute, Jen. They're good chocobos, Jen.
Yeah. Okay, well now we gotta fight some thugs, which is very easy. So we vanquish some thugs. And I don't return, but I go to a meeting spot that Ilbert and I had arranged ahead of time.
This is the location of the sale. It's not a meeting spot. It's where the thing's going to go down.
Yeah, he wanted me to, go there to, I don't know, be a lookout or whatever.
As we approach the location, we overhear a scuffle. It sounds like someone is caught unawares and then is slain. We rush over and we find Ilberd standing over a body, presumably the merchant, the black market dealer. Ilberd sadly informs us that the merchant drew a hidden blade and an inexperienced Crystal Brave recruit panicked and cut down the merchant. It's Ilberd's fault for bringing such an inexperienced person with him. Commander Levier will be most disappointed. Ilberd is very upset by this accident too. Damn it all. A golden opportunity wasted. And the buyers of this shipment have slipped past the Brave's perimeter somehow. And speaking of the buyers, we have seized the shipment, but it is much smaller than expected. The intel said it would be a massive transaction, but actually it's like one crate of weapons only. So Ilberd's gonna go and join the rest of the first, and they will hunt down the buyers who escaped their sentries. They think that the buyers are a party of dusk white sellswords. So Ilberd asks us to take our measly single crate of weapons that we seized and hand them over to Yu Hase of the Third. So we head to Ul'dah to do so.
Yeah. You know, we recently had an experience doing the Hildy quests where someone off in the distance goes, "Oh my god, help!" And there's some kind of commotion. We run, and it's just one person standing over another person. Nothing else is going on. It seems a little weird. Just kind of convenient, right? Just and then like this big band of dusk white sellswords. Of course, they're dusk whites that we didn't hear, didn't see. They ran off. I mean, and also like Mr. This whole mission will be a walk in the park and he's beneath you. Wishes he could have enlisted the help of the Immortal Flames now. He's like, oh man, if only we could have asked the Immortal Flames, but we're supposed to be helping them. And he's like super shitty in this moment. Just like, wah, wah, wah. Like, yeah, this whole thing is a huge fuck. And, you know, we're intercepting this massive shipment of piles of crates of weapons and single crate. And some very nice looking merchant dead on the floor. Whatever. Anyway, so we go back to Ul'dah with our stupid crate. And we meet Yu Hase, and he's hanging out with Will Red and Eliane, I think, who are also of the Third.
Yeah.
And we're like, here's the stuff that we got. And Eliane is like, is that all there is? We were told this was going to be one hell of a mission. You were supposed to get a buttload of these things. Yu Hase kind of jumps in. He's like, yeah, well, you know what? I think our intel was a little tainted. I don't think Riol really understood the classic Ul'dah merchant tactic of trying to make themselves seem greater than they really are. So, you know, honestly, we should just be thankful for what we got. Yeah. Anyway, so Will Red, bless his little heart, he tries to find a silver lining here. He's like, you know what? Yeah, it's still something. We got something to celebrate. And regardless, we have bigger issues to deal with, like the Garleans, for example. Eliane is like, well, I mean, yes, but our mission is to stand watch. We're not jumping into battle and you know, we're not after any kind of glory. We have to like do the job. The two of them leave. They go back to the cerulean processing plant. And Yu Hase goes to the Hall of Flames to hand over the weapons and make his report to Raban, I assume, or Commander Swift, maybe. So, yeah, Yu Hase was very dismissive of, and didn't at all seem concerned that the spoils of this little endeavor were, you know, maybe like a 10th at best of what the intel said it was going to be. And he made all sorts of excuses and tried to discontinue the discussion, like, immediately. Again, weird. Super weird. So anyway, as we're about to leave ourselves, Riol walks up and he's like, hey, can I talk to you real quick? Meet me in the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. You won't need a whistle. I mean, it's cute. You know, he's like, yeah, remember that?
We remember every single time we talk.
Yeah. I mean, it helps me as a player because they understand it's been a while between interactions with Riol, so it's nice that they remind us, you know this guy. Remember, he's from the Company of Heroes, just trying to keep us
He's the guy with the eye patch chin.
The guy with the eye patch. Oh, he's piratey as hell.
Anyway, we find Riol in the markets. He says the hustle and bustle is a great way to cover up conversations. So he asks us now to go over everything that happened in the bust, and we recap it. And he says that our story is not what he heard from the first.
That's like
Legion, whatever.
Ilbert's jam. Ilbert's deal is the first, and Yu Hase is the head of the third.
I think actually Ilbert's like the captain or commander or whatever.
He's the captain.
But he seems to like hanging out with the first a lot. Though he's responsible for all of the Braves units, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, anyway. Riol heard from the first, and their story is not our story, so something's off here. And there were no sign whatsoever of these supposed Duskwights. Something ain't right. I feel it in me bones.
In me bones. He also takes umbrage at Yu Hase's characterization of him being misled by a boastful merchant. I mean, wouldn't you? He said the intel he had was solid, and he's not dumb. And to prove his point, he's like, my first job with the Crystal Braves was doing forensic accounting to make sure all of the funding we were getting wasn't coming from, bad guys. So, but nowadays, money's coming in hand over fist. Not a problem. And you know who's getting all the good stuff? All the new equipment, all the best shit? The first and the third. So, just, think about it. Anyway, he's got to go back to his post.
He's like, yeah, don't think nothing of it. Just me rambling. I've got a lot on my mind these days. So he'll get back to work. He leaves and we get a link pearl transmission from Tataru, who requests our presence urgently in the Rising Stones. We hustle back and we learn that a very determined lady from Ishgard has requested our presence. In the Solar, we find Lucia, who is Sir Emmerich's taciturn assistant. We also have Moonbrita and Urianger here. If we check in before getting briefed on the situation by Minfilia, Urianger mutters, "Unexpected tidings from the north, borne by the Lord Commander's second. What manner of wind bloweth this day?" Moonbrita says, "At this point, it would be more unnerving if he spoke plainly."
Correct.
So we begin the briefing.
The Lord Commander has sent Lucia here to request our assistance with a grave matter. The astrologians at the observatorium have raised the alarm over the intense booming of the dragon star. She says alarm.
They have sounded the alarm.
The alarm. The alarm.
Yes, the dragon star burned with an intensity not seen in 15 summers, which is when the Dravanians engaged the Empire in the Battle of Silver Tier Skies.
The northern sky doth burn full bright upon the Worm Lord's call. The red behemoth beckoneth, and flame consumeth all.
The brightening of the dragon star is said to accompany the roar of a great worm. The astrologians believe that it was Midgard-Soma himself who cried out on this occasion.
Well, I wrote down that quote as well, and my God, Google was trying so hard to get me to correct the spelling for beckoneth to beckoned.
Nope.
I was like, beckoneth. No, Google, backspace. I did 3 times. It was like, no, it's beckoned. And I'm like, fuck you, it's beckoneth.
Yeah.
I won. It's my document.
Take that, Google.
Yeah.
Moonbrita butts in now, saying, "Pardon me, but wouldn't we have heard if Midgard-Soma had roared?"
Well, Lucia does a little soft correction here, and she says that the Dravanians can communicate in ways beyond our understanding, which is why we have to use the heavens as guidance. And the only way to confirm or eliminate the Keeper of the Lake as the culprit is to examine it directly. And the Holy See won't approve the use of the Temple Knights for this in any reasonable period of time, so that's why they're asking us to do it.
So now Minfilia recaps the Battle of Silver Tier Skies. 15 years ago, the Garlean Empire attacked with a fleet of incredible might. Their victory was a foregone conclusion were it not for the awakening of Midgard-Soma, who burst forth from the waters of Silver Tier Lake to strike at the fleet and its flagship, the Agrias. The Dravanian horde answered Midgard-Soma's call, and a battle was waged in the skies. Ultimately, Midgard-Soma brought down the Agrias, but an explosion from its rupturing ceruleum tanks in turn slew the worm. The ethereal discharge forever warped Silver Tier Lake, crystallizing the ambient ether for malms around. We are now suitably briefed, so we head out now to the lake to check in with the Domans who are keeping watch over the Keeper of the Lake. But if we check in with the break room crew on the way out, we can get some updates. A drama has been unfolding over the past couple visits. Thancred was able to procure some rare ore needed for Moonbrita's studies by some link pearl negotiations with one of his lady friends. But Thancred sent Ida to go pick up said ore, and this lady friend was very unhappy to have another lady friend show up for the goods. Ida says, "I traveled to Ul'dah to meet with Thancred's friend, the one who promised us that rare ore. And she began cursing me with words I've only ever heard from the mouths of pirates. I still have no idea what she was so angry about." Thancred acknowledges that in hindsight, perhaps sending a lady in his stead was not the wisest of decisions.
He knew what he was doing.
Apparently not.
He's too smart to not know what he was doing.
Fine.
Yeah. Thancred. So we check in with the Doman Watchmen down at the lake, and apparently there has been some Garlean activity recently. They've been flying in and out of the wreckage, likely salvaging some stuff because, we cut off their supply lines to Kessim Sentry a while ago, so they're probably struggling. If we're going to go in there, we need to be stealthy about it, obviously. The Garleans would not hesitate to shoot down anything airborne, so we need to go in by boat and then climb up. So that's what we do with 3 of our friends.
So we have unlocked the Keeper of the Lake dungeon. Jen, who were our comrades this time?
We ran this dungeon with a couple of listeners. We have Vestal Gorgonoth, and they were Black Mage, and Pepe Sith as Paladin. And they started the game. They started a game like a month ago.
Pepe did.
Yeah. They're just like going fucking gangbusters on that shit. But everybody did a great job. It was very fun. Levi as Shu was Scholar. And I was Bard. Okay, I was Bard. Making sure we can all run fast.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I like this dungeon a lot conceptually. We've probably been staring at this thing for, at least on and off, for some weeks or months now, at Midgar Stormer's body wrapped around the Agrias's ruined hull. It's a very impressive landmark, and we've wondered what it is, what's going on there. I'm thinking we'll go there at some point, because how could you not with this kind of landmark? And now is the time. So we enter the dungeon. This dungeon felt pretty normal on min eye level. The main difference was the enemies just took a long time to kill. It didn't seem like they were very hard hitting, especially. Though we're also kind of getting close to the normal max eye level 2 for A Realm Reborn. So our advantage from Poetic Gear is getting to be less. So I'm guessing that running the dungeon normally versus min eye level is a lesser gap than the early patch 2.1, patch 2.2 dungeons. Anyway, yeah, it did not feel that difficult, honestly. I'm in eye level, except that some other raid wides on the final boss hit for quite a bit.
Indeed.
This is another dungeon that's gotten a pretty decent revamp to be compatible with the AI trust system. So now the boss fights feel a lot more like standard Final Fantasy XIV boss fights, and they've lost that kind of janky, what I would call charm of the A Realm Reborn mechanics. They're much more standardized.
Yeah. Are you talking just like general like mini boss, main boss mechanics, or like everything? The
trash pulls are trash pulls. They
right.
Usually don't have mechanics, but the bosses here though have very recognizable mechanics for a long-term player.
Yeah.
Whereas beforehand they had a lot more of the kind
idiosyncrasies.
Exactly. Yeah. The little flavor bits.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Some new little moves, I suppose, but again, nothing that isn't readable.
Yeah.
You don't need to like watch a guide. You can absolutely say, read this.
So we arrive on the shores of the island. We run across the rocky shore here and giant rusted plates of the Agrias, and we run into some crabs. This is the evocatively named Harness Snipper and Codpiece Clipper.
Watch out!
We survive them unclipped, and we fight past some more aquatic critters. Progression here is heavily gated. We have to fight through 2 pulls worth of monsters, then a chunk of the ship comes crashing down, letting us walk across it to get to more dungeon. We soon climb to the top of what looks like some sort of turbine or reactor or something, a circular chunk of the Agrias with fat tubes running out of it. On top of this is our first boss. This is Einhander, one of those flying beasts with the giant curly horns. And this guy is carrying a minigun.
Einhander, which is like one-hander.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's carrying the gun with his feet. Pepe was wondering where he got his gun. Well, I have the answer to that. Einhander is a cloudkin of superior intelligence. Using said intelligence, he has learned to wield imperial armaments. The gun itself was probably ripped from the wreckage. So this fight is real basic. Einhander just flies around. From time to time, there'll be other flying curly-horned beasts that fly in and drop these fuel tanks on the ground, and Einhander will drop an AoE. The tank that his AoE hits will start to glow red and explode, and that then triggers the other tanks. So pretty much don't stand near the red tank and then stand where it just exploded, so you can dodge the explosions of the other tanks that got triggered by the first explosion. Pretty basic overall. He's got a tank buster too. These tank busters were very gentle.
Yeah.
And that's the fight pretty much. So just dodge them tanks and you're good to go.
Yeah. They just do some different patterns and that's about it.
Yep. So now we climb up to the quarterdeck of the Egrius, somewhere deep within its hull. This is where the Imperials are active. They are presumably scavenging for parts here. They set up kind of like a base here. It's like a castrum in terms of the biome. It looks like they probably hauled in some prefab parts because this is not like the rusted hull. This is that flat, metallic plating stuff they have all over the castrums. They also have force fields set up here. We have to defeat some, then claim a key, allowing us to lower the force field, then we proceed. This repeats a few times. There are also mini-boss fights here with Magitech Colossi. They hide behind the force fields. We have to destroy the field generator to be able to engage the Colossus, and then we fight them. We claim the key from one of the guys we kill, then we press on. Pretty basic overall. Eventually, we get to the second boss. This is the Magitech gunship.
Yeah.
This is a much cooler looking flying vessel than the previous ones we've seen, the dorky ass cylinder guys. This guy looks like a futuristic kind of bug-like flying vessel.
Cool.
Yes, cool indeed. They've upped their design game since the old days, apparently. Those Imperials have.
Yeah,
and
the
devs.
cylindrical ships that fly upright just look silly.
Yep. This guy feels the most like his original boss version to me. So first off, it does this conal flamethrower attack. This goes on for quite some time, so you gotta get out and stay out of the area to not get flame thrown. It also does a circle AoE carpet bomb, which kept on targeting our Black Mage Vestal every single time.
Right.
We get some Imperial ads, kill the ads like you do. Sometimes it'll telegraph this line attack and just get out of its way because it will then do a slow flyby and drop these puddles of fire in its path. So just don't stand in its way and hit it from the sides. Again, pretty basic. We defeat it and we press on. We now reach the very top of the wreckage. This is the Keeper's Spine. We have left the hull behind now and are now walking on Midgar Sormer's neck. It seems like he is calcified or something. His parts look like stone. And at the very top, we reach an amphitheater of some sort. Midgar Sormer's petrified head looms over a shattered dome, like some sort of observation deck from the Egrius. But the worm is not fully dead. Its voice murmurs, "Who treadeth upon my bones and waketh me from slumber sweet?" It's Urianger, the dragon.
Yeah.
The worm's dead eyes light up, blazing red. Ether swirls, and a spirit Midgar Sormer head emerges from the wreckage. It proclaims, "Thou hast forgotten the face of thy lord. Remember, mortal, and fear me." And we fight.
Yeah, we fight the big ghost head of Midgard-Sormr.
And his little dragon buddies.
He's got some dragon buddies. He's got a few dragon buddies.
Yep. So the main mechanic of this fight is that the two dragon buddies will telegraph this line AoE. They have like little circle markers and they will point in a direction at the same time as Midgard-Sormr does some AoE himself.
Yeah.
So you got two baby dragons doing a line AoE, then Midgard-Sormr doing a big AoE. You just look at all the different telegraphs and figure out the safe spot.
Yeah.
That's like half the mechanics right there is doing that thing.
It's either like to the right of the one little dragon or to the left of the one little dragon. Depending on if Midgard-Sormr is doing his point blank or his donut.
Yep. His in or his out.
Yeah, it's like it's point blank, it's a donut, or it's a line. And then there's two other lines. And sometimes the lines are closer together, and sometimes there's a safe space in the middle. But, you know.
Welcome to Final Fantasy XIV.
There you go.
That's his main gimmick. Otherwise, he has like this DPS check halfway through where you've got to beat his guys, and he'll charge up a big raid wide. Hits for a fair amount. We do that, and the other mechanic he has, which was surprising to me, this is a new one, he has one of those stack markers that has like the multi-arrows, and this means that he will do multiple stack attacks in a row. So don't soak
leave.
the first one and leave. Stay together.
Yeah, I remember I did it. I soaked the one, I'm like, okay, bye! And I'm like, oh shit, there's more.
And I will tell you, Jen, this is not a fun mechanic for Scholar. Because Scholar...
Yeah, you were like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah, I have one AoE heal, which is like an AoE heal and barrier. I don't have like a good spammable, have a bunch of health back.
Right.
So I'm spamming my heal barrier constantly.
Yeah, I just did my self heal and like, potions.
Thanks, Jen. I had you covered.
Yeah. But just in case, I didn't want you to look all across the landscape and see, 3 people with 50% health. Maybe only 2 people with 50% health. Because I'm like, me.
Well, I appreciate the thought, though honestly, maybe other healers feel differently, but in my opinion, if multiple party members are damaged, I'm going to hit like the party heals regardless. So like one person being topped off and like the rest being at 50 means I'm doing the same number of heals to get, quote, the party back to full.
But now I feel smug because I have more health than everybody.
Please enjoy your smugness.
I will.
Nice. Anyway, it was surprising to see that multi-stack marker, and it was hard to deal with as Scholar. Had to hit all the mit I could.
Well, nobody died.
Nobody died. Good job.
Good job.
And that's Midgard-Sormr. We have defeated his ghost head. After we beat him back, he says we have earned a moment's reprieve. Speak, and he will listen.
We don't, have like lines here. Obviously, we just make mouth movements. And we can infer that what we asked him was about the Dragon Star and why it's doing its weird stuff and making everybody panic. And he responds with a wry chuckle. The song has been heard, and Ishgard will burn. The sons must answer for the father's misdeeds. We do not forget. We do not forgive. And one of his 7 children now cries out for retribution.
If you've played the Dragoon job quest, you might have a guess as to who this is.
And we are powerless against them. However, we shall not fight in vain because we're not going to live that long.
But we have a blue energy pulse. Our character lights up.
Like, whom?
Yep.
Yeah, Mommy Crystal's gonna save me, though.
This is some kind of Heidelin discharge, and Midgard-Sormr takes note. So, trickery is our shield. We are not gifted, but chosen. That's a harsh burn, Jen.
I mean, kinda, yeah. Like, you ain't special.
Mm-hmm. He cries, "Hearken to me, Heidelin. Heidelin, I remember, and I consent." And we get transported to the ethereal sea for a moment. We are surrounded by the elemental crystals that we collected through all of A Realm Reborn. But one by one, they are surrounded by dark energy and they fade to gray. We stand there looking forlorn before we return to reality.
The entire structure to which they were bound also just shatters. So it's just darkness. There are no more crystals. There's no more sacred geometry there. It's nothing. It's all gone. And when we come to, Midgard-Sormr has just removed Heidelin's blessing from our being. Like, that's it. We are done now. So if we were to go fight La Habrea, we would be super dead. If we were to fight the Ultima Weapon, we'd be super dead. We don't have her protection anymore. However, there is a covenant that binds him to us.
Yes, he gets tricksy. Mayhap you thinketh me an oathbreaker? No, because we don't know what the fuck's going on, but continue. Thou art mistaken. If thou comest to harm, it shall be by another's hand, not mine. I did but strip thee of thy mistress's feeble blessing. Thou didst profit much by her grace, but no more. But, he assures us, the covenant still binds him to us.
I shall watch, listen, and wait. Fight and struggle, if it be thy will. Man hath ever coveted that which lieth beyond his grasp. I drink of her body, and thence doth mine own find new life.
And Midgardsormr materializes as a baby dragon. We are now teaming up with a baby Midgardsormr. He is reborn. His new form will allow him to keep an eye on us, to watch and weigh our deeds. Whatever that means. So pause in here, Jen.
This seems worse, but...
I mean, we don't know shit, obviously, at this point in time as to what's going on. This is all very sudden. This is more sudden than I recalled in my memory of this scene.
I remember the feeling of absolute, like, the anxiety that consumed me in that moment. I'm like, he did what? I reacted like Minfilia did. Like, He did what to me? And suddenly, like, look, I have plot armor. That's all I need. But it still I felt very vulnerable in that moment. And then he continues to talk, he's kind of like referencing some conversation apparently that he had with Heidelin eons ago. And he's like, yeah, remember that thing we talked about? Yeah, I'll take it from here. Like, I'm going to take away your blessing. I'm going to give you this familiar of me. There's a covenant now.
Yeah, what it seems like has happened, and I don't recall this, has been so long for me that I'm not talking from memory, but from speculation anew. But it seems like he had some covenant with Heidelin, obviously, and he's doing the thing where I'm going to obey the letter, but not the spirit of the law. The covenant probably says, yo, don't fuck up my champion. So he's like, okay, I'm not touching you. I'm just going to take away your protective layers, but not touch your tender flesh.
Yeah, let's see what you're really made of.
And then he's going to judge us, pretty much. He's going to hang out with us and judge us as baby dragon.
Great.
I'm not clear on this. I was wondering now if he took the power of the crystals to reincarnate himself, or if he's just like stealing the ambient ether to do so. Because he does make a comment about,
I drink of her body, and thence doth mine own find new life.
So I wonder if he's using some crystal juice in that, or if that's, fuck you crystals, also I'm doing this on top of that.
Yeah, I think he just like took that shit for himself.
Maybe.
I've got to power my familiar somehow.
Anyway, we return to the Rising Stones. Alphino has been worried sick about us.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yep. We're good, Alphino. Please have this report.
Also, we had a chat with Midgardsormr, and he's like, you know what? If literally anybody else told me that, I'd be, you're barmy. Okay?
That's Jen's new favorite word.
Yeah. I learned it from Planescape. Then we give him the report. Obviously, we're doing silent mouth sounds. Lucia is not in the room, which is good for reasons we'll discuss shortly. But, like in these situations where we're the Warrior of Light and we're giving a report on what we just experienced in our cutscene, we're basically reciting it verbatim. Literally everything anybody said, we're like, so-and-so said that, like, word for word, which is absolutely not at all how it would go down. Like, oh, shit, yeah, he said something about drinking of her body, and then like I was in the ethereal sea, and there was something about covenant, But when we're done telling Alfina what happened, he's like, you know what? All the stuff Midgard-Sormer said seemed kind of vague, except for this line. And then he recites the line verbatim, which means that we're also reciting it. I'm like, this is immersion broken. Nobody does this. Nobody talks like this. But anyway, yeah. So he's like us, he's kind of not really clear on what Midgard-Sormer was talking about, except for the pretty obvious one, which is why, my people have heard the song and Ishgard shall burn.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
The takeaway here is that the Dravanian attack is dire, and we have to go and let the Ishgardians know ASAP, except we're not going to tell them, says Alphino, the part where we heard Midgard-Sormer's voice, because that means we are on par with a heretic, and we're going to get executed if we step foot there.
We'll just leave that little tidbit out.
So I don't know what we tell them instead, because we don't know they're attacking except by Midgard-Sormer saying, yo, we're going to attack.
No. So that's the thing that confused me for this little bit. We have to let Sir Remrick know. But before we even went to the Keeper of the Lake, Lucia was like, all right, thank you for your help. I need to leave immediately to prepare. And Minfilia's like, prepare for what? And Lucia was like, the Horde has heard the cry. We prepare for battle. So they're already building up for a whole thing. So they know what to expect.
Yeah.
I guess it's maybe the degree of the violence.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing here.
But they're already locking shit down.
The sequence doesn't quite make sense. It makes sense for the Guardians to say, hey, the Dragon Star is bright, shit's gonna go down, fine. And they're asking us to confirm if Midgard-Sormer is waking up. I'm assuming we tell Lucia in a moment, like right now actually.
So that would be the news, is that like the Dravanian Horde is gonna attack your shit. That's still gonna happen.
Well, sure, but we can't, I guess, know that without having heard that from Midgard-Sormer, because there's not going to be like a message written on the ground up there saying, hey, we're going to attack.
They just knew there was somebody roared enough to stir the entire Horde.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, was it Midgard-Sormer or was it somebody else? Midgard-Sormer confirmed it was not him, somebody else. But Midgard-Sormer is like looking at stuff and hearing stuff. Like there's a consciousness there now.
Yeah.
So that is news. And then, we don't know. All we can say is one of the 7 children roared, and now everybody's going to start attacking Ishgard again.
Well, we can't say that either, because we don't, we
can't get into specifics.
Our info comes from this dialogue. The best we can say probably is that Midgard-Sormer's ghost head woke up and we fought his ghost head. And that's about it, without actually revealing what we were told verbally or spiritually or whatever by Midgard-Sormer. So it's kind of hard. It's like, hey, we know this one's bad, but we can't tell them this one's bad. Or if we do, we can't explain why, because we're afraid of being branded a heretic.
So we leave that to Alfino. He says some stuff, and apparently it's fine. But Minfilia, she's been side-eyeing us this whole time. And she asks us if there's something we're not telling her. Like, we seem different, like something is missing. And we're like, oh, yeah, Midgard-Sormer stripped us of the blessing of light. And this horrifies Minfilia. She's like, all right, how do you feel? We're like, we're fine.
But we ask about this covenant we heard about, and Minfilia knows of a legend that says when the waters of Silvertear Falls came into existence, the gods Althik and Nemea, brother Time and sister Fate respectively, decreed that Midgard-Sormer watch over the source from which all water and magic was said to flow. Was this the covenant of which Midgard-Sormer spoke, or perhaps his covenant was with Hydaelyn herself? I think that the context tells us it's the latter pretty heavily, but whatever. Minfilia says that we should keep this to ourselves, don't burden our friends with this update. So we are keeping more secrets now. We got layers. We're not going to tell the Ishgardians about the voice of Midgard-Sormer. We're not going to tell our friends about the whole Blessing of Light problem. We also don't tell Minfilia about our new friend, because Minfilia leaves and now Midgard-Sormer appears when it's just the two of us in the solar. Baby Midgard-Sormer says, art thou a pawn or master of thy fate? What hast thou wrought by thine own hands, mortal?
Yeah, like, step up.
I feel like we're a pawn here, Jen, honestly.
I mean, the strength was inside us the whole time. We didn't need her stinking blessing. It was more like, to me, it was a little bit more like, like a coach in the locker room giving us some some, much needed criticisms. Like, are you everybody's like gopher here, or are you the master of your own fucking destiny?
That's what I got too. Because
look at what you yourself have done outside of Heidelin's blessing. It's tremendous. Okay, work with that.
Well, for me, Jen, it was because Alphinaud's telling us to say shit and not say shit. Minfilia's telling us to say shit and not say shit. It's like, we're just getting bossed around by everyone here.
Yeah,
like,
Midgard Stormer is like, bro, I've known you for literally 7 minutes, and I've already seen some shit that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Maybe just take some stock, okay? And as soon as he's gone, we make this face like, oh, fuck. Yeah.
Anyway, we head out now and meet up with Lucia. She is very concerned about all this. Our safety is her sole cause for gladness. Our visit confirmed somehow what the Ishgardians suspected from the Dragonstar. The Dravanians are coming. Alphinaud wonders, are they able to weather the storm?
I am told that Ishgard has magical defenses against Dravanian attack, though I am not privy to their exact nature. Will they be enough to repel a massive force?
Ishgard has weathered countless assaults over centuries. This will be no different. And now that you have confirmed the threat, none can ignore the Lord Commander's calls for the wards to be strengthened.
Lucia leaves us to report back to Ishgard, and Alphinaud turns now to us. The Ishgardians have warred with the Dravanians for nearly 1,000 years, and their enemy has never breached the city. But this time feels different. He wonders if the Ishgardians underestimate the gravity of the situation. Regardless, until they request our aid, we can do nothing but wait.
And that's it until next time.
Yep, that's where we leave off. Any comments, Jim, besides our commentary so far?
Yeah, well, shit's happening. It's clear we're meant to have some feelings about Elberd and Yu Hase and things feeling just generally just off. So fantastic. Now we got to keep an eye on that. But this is the start of the Dragon Song War. This is the
the start.
I mean, this is like for us being involved in it.
Yes, the start of our involvement.
This is another chapter in a long, 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 long tome.
Yes.
Of war. So this is Nidhogg being mad. Midgard Sommer is like, yeah, he's mad. We're all mad. And this but that said, this also feels like an escalation, because we have all of these things kind of coming together. The Garleans they've been humbled, all right? So they're not really at the front of our minds at the moment. But problems at home, definitely. Problems with Ishgard, and I was going to say something else. Oh, Shiva.
Oh, Shiva.
Oh, right, Shiva. Yeah, the fact that somebody can turn themselves into a primal. So that's cool. And we still, she's still at large.
Yeah.
Heretics are doing stuff. So like this is a new element to the feud between Ishgardians and the Durranians.
Yes.
Is having Shiva and her heretics also working in the background, or rather they're in the foreground now. And we have sympathy for the Ishgardians, and we know that the Lord Commander, Sir Emmerich, is an extremely empathetic and reasonable man. So that feels good. But yeah, it just feels like an escalation. This feels like a bigger deal.
Yeah.
So we just fought a ghost
dragon.
We just fought a ghost dragon.
And then we got a child.
A little baby guy.
Yeah.
Who's going to pop in and admonish us every now and then.
Good. We need it, honestly. We need someone who's not talking us up all the damn time.
Right.
More thoughts on this decrystallification, Jen. Like, this feels like it's meant to be a kind of soft reset for our power level in a sense where, we can't be hot shit anymore. But this runs into... This game struggles a lot with its being an MMO and also like a very story-heavy single-player game too, effectively. Much of the game you play through solo. And it's difficult to say to a quote persistent character in a world in which you are expected to engage with other players and play older content with them, blah, blah, blah. You can't just say, hey, you've done this quest step, therefore fuck you, fuck your stats, you're crap now. So this disempowerment is purely narrative. We don't feel it.
Right.
If we walk outside and fight some scrub in Mordona, nothing's changed.
You're still a badass.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. And again, like I said, this game struggles a lot with its dual identity, and you just cannot make the player feel like they've been disempowered, besides situations where you take away control via cutscene. I mean
correct. But I do remember feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
When that moment happened in the game.
I mean, there is a sense of loss for sure. No question whatsoever. And also probably violation too.
Yeah.
This problem comes up again later on in the game's life, where essentially you have hot shit player character who becomes increasingly hotter shit as the game goes on. And like, what do you do with that situation? And I have comments about that as we progress. Jen, I'll drop in as it comes up. But the game handles our coolness in various ways that are more or less successful. This here is purely like a narrative message, but still it is a narrative message saying like, hey, you can't, like you said, Jen, go fight the Ultimate Weapon Mark II right now because you don't have the same power as you had 5 minutes previous.
And I guess on another thing we learned from that moment is the power that these dragons have. He could just go in and be like, mine now.
Well, Midgarstormer ain't just any dragon, Jen.
Well, no. He's hot shit. Like, he's existed since ever. It told us something else that I don't think we understood. Our experience with dragons up to this point has been maybe Nidhogg. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of mobs out in the land.
That maybe Nidhogg is just like a component of Nidhogg that we've encountered so far. Midgarstormer essentially is like a god because he both acts and speaks like a higher form of being pretty much to us.
Yeah.
And we do not get the same impression from fighting Scrub Dragon number 500 in Stone Vigil or even fighting the boss dragons there.
Yeah, these little baby guys.
Yeah,
like,
they're nothing, but the big dragons are something else. So this is our possibly first encounter with like a true dragon.
Indeed.
If we have not been doing the Dragoon Drop quest prior to this.
Yeah.
Great. Any other comments, Jen?
No.
Cool. Well, next time we'll keep on trucking with that MSQ. We'll be playing Up to the Quest and Uninvited Asian. So we will see you then.
And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for listening and not running away with our weapons cache. If you want to get in touch with us, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com, or check the show notes for our Discord. You can join up, post your glams, join us for some group runs, organize group runs of your own. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do. Everybody's really nice, and you should check it out. And then we also have our Patreon, patreon.com/podreturnffxiv. And for $1 a month, you get access to all of our other stuff. The seasonal episodes are posted there, as well as our Final Fantasy XI series, Vanadiel Van Splainer. So give it a listen. And with that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night, and we will see you next time.